Welcome to the Heart of Real Estate podcast with Mike McFarland and Steven Salinas with the Mortgage Mike Group. On the podcast, Mike and Steven discuss with top producing real estate agents what makes them successful, unique, and purpose-filled. Each episode holds a key to unlocking a door to financial freedom.
Hey guys, what's up?
Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of the Heart of Real Estate podcast. I am one of your hosts, Mike McFarland, and I've got my trusty...
I am Steven Salinas.
Yeah, trusty something over here.
Yeah.
Totally let that. I left you hanging. Sorry
trusty,
about that.
Whatever.
My trusty sidekick.
Podcast host.
Yeah, podcast host.
By day,
mortgage originator by night.
Mortgage originator by night.
Yeah. Influencer.
Father by night. So yeah, we're excited for this one. I'm really excited because we've had the opportunity to get to know our guest over a couple meetings, really just initially, meeting like-hearted people in the area, in the industry. As the relationship has grown, we've really just developed a kind of a similar mindset. The friendship is definitely there. Yeah. So I'm really excited to introduce our guest. We've got Cesar Martinez
with Blue Roof Real Estate.
Yes.
Yeah. So Cesar, welcome to the Heart of Real Estate podcast, my friend.
Glad to be here.
Yeah.
Been looking forward to it.
Good.
Yes.
It's a build-up.
Yeah, it's a build-up. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about, tell us some background on who you are. How'd you get in the real estate industry? What are you doing today? Because I know you own your own company here, or you're a partner in it.
So I came right out of high school. I do not know anything other than real estate.
Wow.
But I grew up with a mom in sales. So I understand sales. So pretty much it's like I got out of high school, was just kind of moving along at a restaurant. Mm-hmm. And I had a hard time because at the restaurant I made good money, and it was great money for a 18-year-old.
Yeah.
But there was no future. There was a cap on what you could earn.
And it's very hard work.
It's very hard work. Literally, in order to earn $500 in a day, I would have to put in a 10-hour shift daily.
Wow.
Yeah. So I could earn really big money, but then one day realized I was capped. And then your bosses start to rain down on you. You're no longer happy. So you start looking for somewhere else to go.
Okay.
So my mom had a friend who was a realtor, and he's like, hey man, you can be rich. And here we are.
Wow.
Not rich, but living the life that I want.
Well, your life
is rich.
Yeah.
Right. You have
that's
very, you're fulfilled.
I'm fulfilled.
And, I think we always kind of circle back to this is it starts with your mindset.
Yeah.
Right. And I know that you are huge on mindset.
Yeah.
And really, I think that's one of the unique things about you. Really, this podcast is to, provide training and equipping for people in the real estate industry. So whether you're a real estate agent, you're a loan officer, you're an insurance broker, title rep, whatever. We're all in kind of the similar playing field, right?
Yeah.
We're marketing ourselves every day. You have a lot of unique things about, how you do business. Tell us about, how do you start your day? What do you do when you wake up in the morning? How did you just get into this?
So in the beginning, I was very lackadaisical.
Yeah.
Your typical 19-year-old, right? It's like
most 19-year-olds don't really have any aspirations at all.
Exactly. Not a lot of aspiration. Would just make enough money to get by and pay bills and, live a decent life. Not bad for a 19-year-old. You're 19, you've closed a couple of sales, you've got 30,000 sitting in your bank account. You think the world is your oyster, right? But then the real bills come along, taxes, property taxes, just daily expenses. And then you realize it's not as easy as I thought. So you start trying to plan, and then you realize that if you wake up at 12 o'clock after partying all night, you don't really get your started till about 1 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah. So by that time, 90% of people that make money, they're done with their day. They've gone off to look for other people to make money with.
Wow.
So I was losing all my opportunities while I was sleeping. So The real story begins at 27.
Okay.
Fall in love, get a girlfriend. We end up in San Francisco, and she convinces me to sleep at her sister's apartment to save some money because a hotel is $600 a night in San Francisco. Yep. And this is in 2009.
Right.
Wow.
And we're talking about La Quinta, not the greatest of places, and kind of rough. So she convinces me, and I sleep on the most uncomfortable couch, and so does she, to the point where it's like the next day, back pains, all these things.
Wow.
So I'm sitting at the airport, and I wish I still had the cell phone because I literally wrote the notes to myself. It's like, if I love this person so much, I will never allow this to happen to us, because $600 could have saved me this back pain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I was like, and if I love the people around me, I will never waste my time doing nothing, because it's like, whenever we want to do something, the best part of this is that if I say we want to do it, it's like, okay, what's it going to take? Let's go do it. So from then on, I came back to Houston, and it's like just kept changing things slowly. I woke up a little earlier. I followed up on more leads, even if they were horrible leads, still followed up.
Yeah.
And just kind of kept building from there. And then when times would get tough, I would just go back to the beginning. Let's go back to the open houses. Let's go back to holding open houses for leases. Just didn't want to spend time just sitting around, not actually doing anything. So that actually generated a lot of friends, like randomly. And I just kept building on that schedule, that organization. So by now, fast forward 10 years, I wake up at 4:00 in the morning. As soon as I wake up, I'm already looking for something inspirational to listen to. Usually it's something to get the blood flowing.
Yeah. What's an example of like one thing?
Sometimes I just type in mental focus motivation.
Okay.
And Eric Johnson, E.T., the hip hop producer, Les Miles, people will make all these mashups.
Steve Harvey.
Yeah, Steve Harvey. There's a lot of them, right? So 4:00, I'm groggy, trying to brush my teeth, and this is like playing on my phone as I walk through the house. And I know I'm about to go through the toughest hour of my day because I'm getting ready to work out. And I work out in a group setting. So there's no cheating. There's no, like, people pay attention to what you're doing, because they become like your accountability partners.
Yeah.
At 5 a.m. at the gym. So you have to come in with the mentality that you're there to make the best of this hour. And then I have to drive half an hour to get there. So I drive half an hour and I'm listening to these things. And then I pop over to an Audible for 20 minutes. And sometimes it's just books that I've read before. Trying to remember David Goggins.
Yeah.
So I just leave off. I'm getting ready to start his second book, right?
Oh, he has a second book?
He has a second book.
Just listen to one of them.
Yeah.
Can't Hurt Me. I'm not sure that's the first or the second, but my gosh, that was.
Yeah, that's Can't Hurt Me's the first one. He just came out with one recently.
Okay.
So listen for on the 20-minute drive, and then it's like, okay, we're mentally there. Now we're going to just amplify the music. Mm-hmm. So I just picked something that's just going to get the blood pumping and get the beat going, and just walk in. And it's like, you look at the board and you realize that the workout's not long. It's 12 minutes. But then they're like, in those 12 minutes, you're going to do 12 muscle ups. And you're like, well, shoot, I can do one at a time. And then you also are going to do 12 goblet squats, which is pretty much just holding a 70-pound weight and squatting. And then you're going to go back and do 10 muscle ups and keep doing squats over and over again for 5 rounds this morning. And then in order to say that you finished this, you have to row 1,500 meters. And you have to finish this within the time cap.
Okay.
So,
and this is all in when it's
we're not even 6 o'clock in the morning yet.
6 yet.
Yeah, we're still at 5.
We're at 5:30.
Yeah.
Okay. Most people probably are snoozing their second alarm.
Right.
Yeah. I remember I used to snooze my second alarm.
It's hard.
Yeah. It's probably like hitting that snooze button is the greatest feeling, right? But you've lost an hour. And so now you've done this. Your people have held you accountable. And sometimes I'm not ready to drive back because traffic. It's traffic. It's Houston. It's 7. Well, no, what is it? It's like 6:30. I'm coming in from downtown back into West Houston, and traffic's already built up. So sometimes I just pull out my cell phone and I'm like, okay, we're going to check out emails. What emails do I need to send? So before I even left the gym, I've kind of, decompressed, checked my emails, sent them all out, kind of made a list of what I need to do to get home and go about my day. So that getting to your email to do your emails in the morning, done. Took 15 minutes before you even drove back to your house. Mm-hmm. After that, you do the normal stuff, get showered, you eat, you go off to work. But I like to take 15 minutes to just be with myself. No radio, no nothing. It's because a lot of us can't be alone anymore. Mm-hmm. And in real estate.
So true.
Yeah. In real estate, being alone is a big factor. If you expect everybody to like you, you're in the wrong industry. Because even though you want to help everybody, you can't. And some people are not trying to be rude, but they just flat out honest and will flat out just be like, no, I don't need your help. And you're like, but I'm trying to help you. Don't need ya. And you're like, why? It's like, I provide great service. It's like, just nothing personal, just don't need you. And that's it. They don't give you a reason. And as humans, we are wired to, I don't know what the correct word is, but it's like to fulfill and please people. Mm-hmm. And in real estate, no matter what you do, you can't please them all.
Right. So true. Because they're really saying no to your offer. Mm-hmm. They're not saying no to you. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one thing that we experience on a daily basis where, we have that mentality, I want to help. Yeah. I believe that my services, I'm going to take good care of them. Mm-hmm. If they're with me, they're going to get taken care of. It's going to be safe. Yeah.
Because you're a professional, right?
Yeah. Because you're a professional. You realize, I'm going to purchase a home or my kids are going to purchase a home. I want to do things the right way, but sometimes that's not enough. Right. Or sometimes, you think they're saying no to you and it can keep you from, it'll like derail you.
Correct.
And it'll just wreck your day.
And that's what the 15 minutes of focus is on the drive, because in the drive, you're having to have a conversation with yourself. You have that little voice and it's talking to you. And it's like, hey, if you would have done this, you could have gotten this. And it's usually something that you left off for the next day. And now you're just kicking the can and you need to perform because you're in trouble. But that voice is talking to you and you don't want to hear it. So you're like, man, what if I turn on the radio? What if I turn on a podcast? And it's like, no, let's turn everything down. And in my head, let's listen to what have I been avoiding? Most of the times it's just phone calls. Yeah. Because you don't really want to hear people with their negative attitude about you just cold calling them out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. So what you do is you change your technique. You're a salesperson, right? At the end of the day, you're a salesperson. You provide a service, your service, but you're a salesperson. I'm a salesperson. You're a salesperson.
All day long.
Yeah. So what you have to do is sometimes change your tactic. And the person says no. And so you ask them with like, well, out of curiosity, why would you say no without considering all that I know and all the knowledge I have? and it opens up dialogue. So now you're not selling them. You're trying to understand what the person, why they want to do it or why they don't. So you keep the dialogue going, and it's still a sales tactic, but you bring them around to opening up the conversation into other ways without them knowing that you're just gleaming information from them, to where eventually they're just like, you know what? You beat me. Let's have a conversation. And then you talk to them, and then you're like, okay, well, I got a phone call I got to take. It was nice talking to you. I got to go. Have a great day.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like, it wasn't something that got you a sales that day, but the person will kind of take the time to like think. It's like, hey, you know what? Cesar reached out to me. He talked to me. Wasn't really trying to sell me on something. Asked me how my day was. And all he asked me was if there was something that he could help me with. Maybe I don't need the help now, but when the time comes, I'll call Cesar and ask him first.
Wow.
So now you've left that seed of opportunity.
So by the time we get to 9 o'clock in the morning, you've done a lot.
Yes.
And a lot of that is just preparation for the day, right?
Mm-hmm. What life is going to throw at you.
Preparing your body.
Yeah.
Preparing your mind. I love that you take that quiet time to think about to have the conversation with yourself about what it is that you're avoiding, so that you can take care of it and it doesn't become like a lingering problem.
Yeah.
And all of this is just mindset. I mean, you're setting your mind before you even get to that point of maybe actively being in a sales mode, right?
Yeah.
I think you shared with us some of the things that you do, like when you think about how many calls, like the basics, right? Like how many people are you talking to a day?
On a daily?
What's your goal?
I don't really have a goal. Okay. The real thing about my day is just talking to people. I know people go out with like 10 people a day, which is great, right? Like if you're introvert, but I'm very extroverted. So I'm just like walking down. I'm like, hey, I like your shoes. And people are like, oh, thank you. And it's like, hey, where'd you get that shirt? So just start creating conversation out of the air. Mm-hmm. So it's not a numbers thing. It's more like a, how can I get someone to talk to me thing.
Yeah.
So
you kind of walk into a room and look around and, you're just like, whoa, maybe there's opportunity here.
Correct. And then you've planned so much throughout your day. Like, here's an example. I used to just practice the scripts in the mirror. Like, oh yeah, getting declined, right? You've been declined. How are you going to answer this? It's like, so I used to just be like, I used to answer meanly, in a good way, in just every other way that I could answer, right? Just to figure out what felt better to me. And I realized that it's like, if I smiled before anything, people would assimilate the smile and we would be on a happy term. So I would just build from there. So stop taking things like negatively and just accept that it's like, okay, he might have answered me negatively, but you're still my friend, whether you want to or not. I know your name. So it's like, I know you're Steven. I know you're Mike. No matter what, as long as you know that I'm Cesar, you're going to consider me your friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. So unless I do something mean to you, then things change, right?
I can't see that happen. I don't see that at all.
No, because we try to live virtually.
Yeah.
What is it? Virtuously. There we go.
We are living virtually now.
Yeah.
We're virtual right now.
Yeah.
Because I want to be treated a certain way. So I should treat people the same way, right? And all these things, they apply to everything in your day to day. Everybody with,
so true.
As far as weight loss, how many of us plan to lose 15 pounds, right? Yeah, we all plan.
Maybe lose 15 pounds.
We all plan to. No, well, it's a New Year's resolution, right? We all plan to lose 15 pounds. We all plan to talk to the pretty girl in the back. We all plan to do something that takes us out of our comfort zone, but we never do. Because sometimes we aim so high that we forget that there's steps in between, right? So we gotta take those stumbling blocks and stumble and fall, and maybe it just works out. People talk about the 15 pounds and they aim for 15 pounds in 2 weeks. And I'm like, man, just aim for 2 pounds a week. It doesn't feel that bad. Right. So just things like that. Talk to the girl. If she says no, talk to the next one.
Right.
Yeah.
So Cesar, what I love is I hear your story, and it's a progression of little things that you've learned over 17 years. I'm just throwing out that number, right? Or longer. And it wasn't like you didn't start off waking up at 4:00.
No.
And going to the gym at 5 and adding in a 4:30 mindset motivational thing. And then, having that time to be clear and be quiet, and then getting your emails taken care of. Like, that's all just been, but I guess what I like about this is that there's no perfection. It's just starting.
Yeah. You're
just taking steps. The other thing that I love is you're really good at connecting. Like, it's not I heard the give. We hear that a lot. I think your approach to people is the give and the connection and the smile. And those three things do really, really well for you. You also, not that anybody can see this if you're listening, but we got these cool towels from Cesar. If I can get this the right way.
Upside down. There you go.
There we go. The right way, right? Because you do a little bit of guerrilla marketing. Tell us
real estate.
Yeah, tell us about this guerrilla marketing that you do, because I love how you just in community, because you find community, you insert yourself, and you become a part.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah, because it's really hard to just walk up to someone and be like, "Here you go.
Here's a towel. Take a towel."
Well, the towel is not like a huge issue, right? People will take a gift. The thing is, it's like, buy something from me.
Yeah.
It's really hard because it's like, first of all, real estate is probably the biggest purchase of your life. People don't know if they can trust you because they don't know how long you've been doing it or what you actually do know about real estate. So setting up a community, it helps because it's like you plant yourself with people that are like-minded, but they might not be real estate minded, right? But they like waking up early with you. For example, Everett's a good friend of mine. Him and Brandy and Jose are like my accountability partners, because if I miss one too many days of 5 a.m., they call me and they're like, "Hey, what's wrong?"
Got it.
Right. So they hold me accountable to show up every 5 a.m. And it's like when I wake up at 4 a.m. and say, "Yeah, you know what? I can hit the snooze." I'm like, you know what? These guys are counting on me to keep each other going for this day. So now we know that it's like our days, no matter what, are intertwined.
Yes.
Yeah. So we now take that aspect, and then it's like you talk to them about real estate, and it's like maybe they don't all buy with you. But then when someone says, "Hey, I was thinking of buying a home," they automatically, it's like, "Hey, talk to Cesar. He's
Fantastic.
He's real easy, chill. All those towels you wipe with yourself with at the gym, those come from him." So they give you the credibility without you having to force it on people. And then they as you help them, they help you. So your circle of influence kind of just gets a little bit bigger. So yeah, I go from inside. And then my guerrilla marketing started off as a kid. I really didn't have a lot of money to market. The one person that had faith in me to get my real estate license and drop out of college was my mom. And she said, "Hey, you know what? College isn't for everyone." And I said, "Okay." So I went off, and then I started as low as, it's like I used to sit in front of her door outside, because like she had a small business and next to her business was a little food stand, and I had a table, and everybody that came to buy food or came to my mom's store got a business card, or we had a small little chat or just small conversation, and we just built it from there.
Amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So as you were a young kid,
this was me at 19, like at the beginning of my real estate license.
Business cards, talking to everybody that came by.
Everybody that came by. And in the beginning, it hurt because it's like, "Why don't you buy a house?" "Oh, blah, blah, blah. I have a cousin. I have everybody knows a realtor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, man, I'm never going to make any money this way. But being that my mom was business oriented, she said, don't worry, not everybody's going to need what you offer.
Now too.
Exactly. Right now. Just keep at it. Luckily, I closed my first deal within 30 days. But I don't know how many people I pushed my business card on and talked to that it happened, right? And then I used to make flyers. So like I would just make the flyer, cut them into 4. It was just like, hey, do you need help selling your home? And I would walk down and up the neighborhoods in Spring Branch, leaving my flyer. And I'm talking about Texas is hot, y'all. Like,
oh yeah,
yes.
There's
even when you're 19 or 20, it's hot.
I mean, today the weather has been from 80 to 66, right?
Yeah,
it's gone from hot to cold in a matter of hours. And I used to walk up and down near my neighborhood, starting March, April, May, June, garage sales, everything, just to get to know the neighbors. And that's the guerrilla marketing. It's like you don't have a big budget, but you got a business card and you can leave it there. As I got more money, I got a little bit smarter, and that's where the towels came into play. Because during COVID, everybody would go to the CrossFit gym, and there are usually these boxes with no AC. There's no AC, so as soon as you start working out, or you just stand there, you start sweating. Mm-hmm. It's May, it's 100 and whatever in Houston, so they used to hand out towels, but during COVID, everybody's being safe. So now I'm handing everybody my towel. The gym holds competitions. I'm handing out my towel. I'm handing out wrist straps, and no one's the wiser that I'm handing out these things. And then when they ask, it's like, hey, why are you giving these? Oh, they're real estate gifts from my company. And they're like, incredible. Oh, thank you. So now they're holding a Blue Roof towel. They have a Blue Roof headband. They have a Blue Roof pen. So when they look at anything Blue Roof real estate, Cesar Martinez realtor, they not questioning it. They know because they've, unintentionally or subconsciously have picked up my material, and now they carry it with them on a daily. Yeah. So that's my guerrilla marketing, because I don't have the money to spend on ads. I've learned that even though you spend all this money on Google everything, the return is not as good as person to person.
So true.
Yeah. So
giving somebody a towel.
Yeah. Yeah. $250 for 100 towels, and you have your thing.
And here's the thing. Mm-hmm. They won't get rid of it.
Exactly.
They'll keep it.
Mm-hmm.
So it has shelf life for a very long. In fact, they'll probably wash it and use it again.
Yeah.
So it just has this continuous shelf life for you, right? Yeah. Which is way better than Google click ads.
Yeah.
Zillow marketing, anything else, because this is connection with people and relationship.
Because you like to do what they like to do. They like to wake up early, work out, and be ready to go do what they think is a tough day. But there's probably nothing harder than doing an extreme workout and then going off to work.
Right. You've already done the hardest thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So
do you have other, outside of your gym, are there other places where you find community, or have you really kind of carved that piece out and said, okay, these are my people? So, you have all types of communities, right? It's really hard to call which one is the one, because it's like you have your friends who you hang out with and just talk with, right? You have your friends you work out with. You have your friends that you get together for a glass of wine, others that you speak investments. There's a lot of them, right? So it's really hard because not everybody has the same mentality as you, but you also want these other friends. Yeah.
So sometimes how do I put it? It's like you have to understand what that circle is feeding that day. Right. So it's like, I love hanging out with my friend that we play video games. So that feeds my circle of video games. We don't do it a lot, but it feeds that little need. Right. Mm-hmm. I have my circle of friends that all we talk is building. And because it's my favorite thing, it feeds that soul. The same thing with the working out. So they don't all pay off, but they all give you some kind of good energy, and they teach you. So when you're talking to someone in your other groups and they say, hey, do you know someone that knows this or understands this? You're like, oh yeah. And they might be in your other circle. So they all give you something. You just have to understand that not all of them are going to give you business. And if you can separate that, you go from colleague to colleague, circle to circle, having friends everywhere, but not being so like, almost like forcing people to be indebted to you to give you business, because then people don't like that. Mm-hmm. They get defensive. But if you're both amicable, you both like to go running and you give each other business, then you're like, man, I can hang out with these guys all day. We're going to go run 10 miles and then we're going to have some food and then we're going to talk business. And, so,
right.
Yeah. So
insightful.
Yeah. It's just all communities work. Some communities take you to better levels. Mm. My CrossFit community, they're all local. So they all know each other, and I wanted to build in one of their neighborhoods. So they showed me the ins and outs of the neighborhood, which maybe doesn't add value as a real estate. Like, I'm going to sell their homes, but it does add the value of when I build homes in their neighborhood. Mm. It's like, I know key points of why the neighborhood's great. So just everything is a great opportunity.
It's amazing. I think just what you're doing is really, you're creating opportunities, and you're very intentional to like notice, if it's an opportunity or not. Because, you're going to the gyms, you're with your friends that are builders, or, even getting to, meet up with us, there's ways that we can all help each other and all kind of share with each other. And I mean, it's kind of like, it's really what the network is. And I love your analogy of planting seeds, because really what you're doing is you're planting seeds, and you're all growing like kind of like roots, like underground. Like
what's one thing I like that y'all do? Y'all always shoot me with that text message when the rates go down.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right? Because
it's our give.
Yeah. I always forget about rates, right? But when I see that they went down, when I call people, it gives me an excuse to talk to them about something.
Yeah.
So it's like, everything is useful. You just have to know what it's useful for.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I always like to ask this question, Cesar, because we like to kind of pinpoint, some pieces of advice that we can give to the listener, right? I want you to just imagine that you were invited to speak at a conference, right? For maybe it's a mindset conference, or it's a successful entrepreneur conference, and they bring you up on stage, and they ask, Cesar, tell the group, 3 things that you think that you just could not live without in your business. Maybe even one thing. If you feel like one thing is the most important, what would you share with the people that are, wanting to be where you're at?
Like one thing, like a cell phone, or
one thing that you've applied to your business that if you didn't apply, it would not be the same.
Organization. If you do not apply organization, your life runs you. You don't run life. That's the easiest way to explain it. Because if you're not organized, every time that you remember that you need to do something, you stop doing something that you're supposed to be finishing at that moment. So like now your tasks become jumbled, and people are like, oh, I'm a great multitasker. Quit lying to yourself. You're not. Nobody is.
Nobody.
No one.
Yeah. Because the moment that you move on to something else, you forgot about something. So organization, couldn't do it without being organized.
How does organization show up for you?
Man, organization is just from repeatedly failing. I have failed due to organization so much that you kind of learn from it. It's like if you're not realizing why you're missing out on things or failing at things, it's because you're not taking the time to reflect. And when I took the time to reflect, most of the times it wasn't organized. I wasn't organized. I didn't want to do the tough things. That was really my thing. I would just leave things. I would leave things that were just difficult or I didn't want to do for the end.
Okay.
And now I leave them for the beginning.
It's that quiet time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you just knock it out in the morning.
Then knock it out in the morning. Oh, right. Sorry. You know what? I have a, like you get the phone call, right? Hey, I know we're supposed to close, but we're not closing. Actually, the loan failed. It's busted. So now you got to call your client, right? Most of us wait till the last second to call him. I pick up the phone. Hey, look, it's not closing. They failed. I know you're angry. Trust me, all of us are angry. It hurts. It stinks. We don't want to be in this situation, but unfortunately, it's what it is. So 15 minutes, we've gotten it out of the way. We don't have to dwell on it anymore. So that organization and getting rid of those things that you shouldn't have to dwell on anymore. And the third one, you just have to be dedicated. There's no halfway doing things. If you're gonna be a realtor, be a realtor. If you are gonna be a builder, be a builder. If you're gonna be a lender, be a lender. Don't try to do everything. There's enough money in this industry for all of us to go down our lane and all of us earn money together.
So true.
Yeah. So don't be a jack of all trades. You don't have to master everything. You just need to know enough and take the leap. Keep moving forward. Yeah.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
I love that. So organization, you can't do anything unless you're organized, right? Things are going to fall through the cracks. You can't function. Being dedicated.
Tackle the hard things.
Tackle the hard things first.
Immediately.
Yeah. Immediately.
Immediately tackle them. That's so good. Kind of like just immediately tackling a hard workout that just sets you up for tackling hard things. And I love it, staying dedicated, staying in your lane.
Yeah.
And like you said, I mean, there's enough for everyone in their lane. And now you're just looking for people that are going in the same direction as you.
Exactly.
That's
forward.
in their lane, right?
Forward.
Going forward.
Yeah.
And in that have the same kind of mentality, the same goals, the same things that you're just trying to achieve together.
Yeah. And we know what, me and you might not even have the same goals. The thing is, it's like, we just want to be better. That's it. Because it's like, I know you're having a kid or you just had one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, maybe your goals are your kids, right? Yeah. So it's like, my goal is to go on vacation some days. My goal is to take Saturday off to go compete at one of these CrossFit competitions. Our goals might not always line up, but together we can help each other deal in our goals. Yeah. Deal in our goals, because it's like, I want you to be able to take off whatever day you want to be with your kid,
Yeah.
So it's like,
that.
it's just moving forward. Was it bad? Was it a bad day? Yeah, it was a bad day for all of us. Let's keep moving forward. Today I got a phone call and the lady asked me, how's it going? And honestly, at that moment, it wasn't great. But you know what? I answered with, I'm happy today. Today is great. And she said, you know what? No one cares if it was bad, if your day's bad, right? And she's like, and I was like, yeah, you're correct. And she's like, yeah, let's just be happy together.
Right.
I answered her question and she went on her way. So it's just a feeling. As long as you're feeling good and you mentally prepared that not everything's going to be great, all the bad stuff that happens, it's by the wayside. I know you had asked the question about almost failing. Okay. Being in real estate, I'm going to be in real estate for, I think I'm on my 19th year. Okay. I'm 37 years old. I'm on my 19th year. I am a veteran in my industry, right?
Yes, you are.
Right? It's like I'm the old guy, but no one can tell when I'm standing in the room. So I mostly get ignored. And it's okay. Real estate was my stepping stone to becoming a builder, right? I always wanted to be a builder. And taking that leap to become a builder, it's where my first biggest failure came. But it wasn't a failure in the end. It's just every step of the way, I did everything wrong. Starting with the wrong partner, the wrong business partner. 4 weeks later into the project, he ghosted me, disappeared.
Wow.
Yeah. Me having a background in remodeling, I was like, this can't be that hard, right? But yeah. I know nothing about building.
Permits.
I know nothing about building. Yeah. Permits.
Inspections.
I mean,
there's City of Houston.
City of Houston is your not your foe, but the person that points out the most that you don't know what you're doing. And when you decide to become a builder on your own, every step forward you take costs money. Every step backwards costs money. And now you got to come forward again and it costs money. So when you mess up, it costs 3 times the regular cost if you would have done it right. Because you paid to have it done. Now you got to pay to have it torn down. And now you got to pay to redo it.
Wow.
So, yeah. So let me make a long story short. I don't know what I'm doing. And I just start moving forward because it's my project and I'm already in it. I got to figure out how to get out of it, right? And so I figure out how to just keep moving forward. But at this point, I felt so much that I'm ready to give up. I'm ready to quit. During the same time, my dad gets diagnosed with cancer while he's on a trip to El Salvador. So now he has to have emergency surgery. And let's just call it lucky me. I don't qualify for loans to build houses. So I have to foot everything out of pocket. And at the same time that this is happening to my dad, I'm having to pay for things out of pocket because, health insurance doesn't cover in El Salvador. So I'm driving down Hardy Street. And I don't forget because it's kind of just what really put that mindset in of 4 o'clock. I'm driving down Hardy and I'm like, I'm running out of money. My dad's sick, dying. I don't know because I can't see him. I got all these other things to deal with and I'm breaking down. It's real easy. You're crying at a red light. And like I said, it's like I read a lot. Mm-hmm. So I had read this book on the human psychology, how we think and how we act and all these things. And it had talked about grief and that there's stages. And I just had a conversation with myself between one red light to the next. And between these red lights, it's like, hey, your dad's not dead. He's out there battling it out. He's just got to heal. Okay, just keep going. We'll figure that out. He's the one that has to really go through this. Okay, I don't have any money. It's okay. You only need $3,000-$4,000 today. You don't need the next payment till in a couple of weeks. How are we going to get it? Dude, you work in real estate. You're allowed to make as much money as you want. You just got to go at it hard. So my dad gets better. I actually go out and look for people to help me, to teach me, to do something because I just do not know how to get this project back on track. And I meet one of my second mentor, Pascual. And he just goes to town on me on education. And the thing is, when you're being educated with your own money, and you're getting a one-on-one from a guy that knows so much, it's almost like you're being insulted because he's talking to you, but the words he's telling you hurt because he's like, do you not know this? He's like, well, kind of. No, you don't know this. This is why. So like the words hurt, and you have to develop a thick skin because he's trying to teach you. And he's trying to teach you why you can't go to Home Depot and buy fixtures because you're trying to sell a $500,000 house and you have to go to somewhere better. And you have to give these things or these homes at these price points better quality items. So 6 months later, we finish the project. My dad's better. I find a buyer. I make very little money. I'm talking about this project has been going on for 3-4 years. I made 20 grand. Right? That comes out to less than $5,000 a year.
And a lot, your hourly rate is like 5 cents.
Yeah. Very badly, right? But the schooling I got, it's like, it was just when I got to the second one, it's like people could tell me things and I'd be like, oh, okay. And if it didn't make sense, I just called someone at the city and they'd be like, oh, no, this is correct. This isn't correct. And then the city would offer me help. They'd be like, hey, you know what? If you're not understanding it, just schedule the drive-by and we will come and tell you how to help you with figuring this out. So I just learned that there was plenty of people out there not working against you. They actually want to help you. And so that's why, like now, when people ask me if I know the answer, if I do, I give the answer. If I don't, I say, you know what? I don't, but I know the right person. Let me get you the answer. And people feel better about that because it's like now they're like not having to second guess whether I know the answer or not. Yeah. So I make very little money, but here's the cool thing. I had put all my money into this home in small bits and pieces. Right? 4,000 here, 2,000 there. All of a sudden, it all comes back in bulk.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So even though it wasn't a big win, it was a huge win because I was never going to put $400,000 together in my bank account by going to work. So that leapfrogged me to all my other projects. So you just have to have that leap of faith. And, that brings me to the second person who has been a great mentor in my life, which is my mom. She always had these little sayings. In Spanish, it's al que a todo le tira, a nada le pega. So what she was saying is, if you throw at everything, you're not going to hit anything. So pretty much she was saying, if you focus on one thing, you're going to hit it eventually. Right? So that became my why, even though when I started, I could be a lender and a lot of realtors were lender realtors.
Remember?
Yeah. I was like, I'm not going to be a lender. My buddy Pablo can be the lender. I can be the realtor. And me and him split, conquered, divided, and won. And now he's my business partner at Blue Roof Real Estate.
So great.
Yeah.
So great.
And then she had this second saying, which was, from a small puddle, you can build lakes and oceans. And that was literally my first build. It's like, to me, it was the biggest thing in the world. But in the builder world, I was just a puddle of water.
Right.
But from that puddle of water, I've been able to branch out and build multiple homes over the last couple of years. And that's why she's been such a big mentor, because no matter how difficult things got for us, all she has ever said is, let's wake up early and let's go.
Incredible. Wow.
Yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Well, I think anyone that's listening, I think there's a lot of people that are listening that I think if they talk to you, I think they would get so much out of life. The person that wants to go from realtor to builder, or the client the listener that maybe wants to work with somebody that has a ton of experience, 19 years of experience in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
everyone that's listening, we're going to put the information to get a hold of you below, just because, we're better together. This podcast, we say like bringing people together. The more people that we can bring together to better each other, just the better we're going to be. That we'll take great care of people.
Right. All in our lane.
All in our lanes, taking great care of people. Well, Cesar, thanks so much for coming, man. We really
so good.
I really enjoyed this. I know our listeners really enjoyed it.
I'm glad.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming. Like I said, we'll connect you guys.
Hopefully, I'll be here again next year talking about more builds.
Yeah,
an encore interview.
There we go.
An encore interview.
A follow up.
Encore interviews. So.
A follow up, and then a Mike and Steven follow up. Maybe next time I can interview y'all.
I love it.
We're in. We'll do
Let's do it.
All right. Awesome.
All right, guys.
Thanks you guys
next
for
time
listening
on the Hard Real Estate Podcast.
Yes.
Thank you for listening to the Heart of Real Estate Podcast. If you found this episode thought-provoking and helpful, do us a favor and share it with 2 of your friends. Also, feel free to leave any comments or reviews. And if you want to learn more about the Mortgage Mike Group, reach out. We'd love to connect.